And we're live. It's Tom Cassidy. I'm here with Ruth Howard from Hobart in Tasmania, and we're both super excited about the whole 10K project, which is a subset of the reasonable coaching, which I guess is a subset of reasonable wealth. Really, we're all trying to give more value to more people, and in doing it in a regenerative way, we're trying to bring greater life to all. It sounds a bit noble and a bit lofty, but it also is very practical. It's also about, in the everyday business of whatever it is that I do, how can I be more bringing specifically more value into all my customers and my clients and my future clients' lives. So, Ruth, why don't we just kick off with what your thinking is, or any particular questions, and what you missed before we started was both of us were just eulogizing on how great fun this all was. But it is really exciting, and I think what's exciting is the fact that you're part of something that is growing, and that you're growing yourself, and I'm growing, and I'm changing. And I think that's what that desire to grow and to notice how you're growing and how you're changing is a very, very human thing, and it's that awareness of how we are developing is one of the things that really separates us from the less advanced beings, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's very exciting, Tom, and because I've been connected with your program for maybe about 3 months. It feels like 5 months, but I think well, there must be 4 months. Hey, it must be about 4 months. And I felt like because I'm connected with the people in the WhatsApp chats, as well as in the Google Plus communities, which I belong to 3.
Yeah.
I felt synergy that's growing, and I'm so excited for the people that I'm just watching them. I feel like I'm contributing to their birthing process in the nicest way, because I know that they're all breaking through ground that they've never broken through before, and that's the way it is for me. And I feel that inside myself, that I'm feel like I'm literally breaking through threads of life that I've never ever been able to emerge from before. But I feel like I'm doing it with a whole group of people. It's like a colony, like
it's warm.
like some
Yeah.
emergent form of life that we're all just like breaking out to be who we are from this sleepy chrysalis,
Yeah, and you've nailed it, really. If it creates that sort of feeling, ultimately the only thing we want in life is a feeling, right? So if you've already got the feeling of something amazing, incredible, the most joyous experience you've had, well, then you're already there. As my mentor Richard Wilkins says, it's only the script that is going to prevent us from actually getting everything that we want right now, because the end of every possession, the end of every goal, the end of every journey is the feeling that we're going to get as a result. And so why not go straight to the feeling now? And the feeling that you've got and the feeling that I've got right now is as good as it ever gets. It really is. It's just insane. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, and it is, like you said, it's a feeling of belonging to that thought group that we share. We share this heart-mind connection, and it's something that you can't help but wanting to share. And you know that only some people, there's only a few of us that can really relate to it in a certain way, but we know that there's more and more people that are actually relating to it. And I've always secretly believed, not very secretly, I'm pretty bloody obvious about it, I believe that there isn't any mediocre middle person out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's just there's been a sort of a fabricated middle of the road. Reality isn't like that. Everybody's very excited to become the best of who they can be, and that's basically what we're doing here. And as I do it for me, I do it for you, I do it for the others in the group, and therefore I do it for everybody in my family and everybody that I connect with online that I don't even know yet.
Yeah.
I might never know how I do it.
Yeah. But this is the thing, it works. And obviously if whatever you're doing is making you feel better and it's genuinely improving your interactions with other people, well then you don't need anything else. That is the result of what we want to do. Now, obviously, what we kind of want to do is also do it in such a regenerative way that we've got the business goals as a component of what we're doing. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do now with the Team 10K project, is obviously create a bit of momentum and all that sort of stuff. But in doing so, setting out a week-by-week roadmap for people to go at their own time, whenever they're ready, and I'm feeling quite proud of that, actually. That I'm actually just creating a blueprint, because it's really nice to just think, well, anyone can do this at any time in the future. It's all publicly accessible, and whenever they're ready to get their individual message out to the world, then just follow the system. So that's exciting, isn't it?
It's good. Well, I'd like to be able to do that for others, I'd like to be able to do it as elegantly as that for others. And I love the way you've got like a course within a course inside of this. So that's what I've been thinking about, Tom. I've had a couple of ideas, and I guess why I'm talking with you now is I want to connect with the first one up, make that decision. This is the one we're going to go with for now. I can see one of them can go on the back or the front of your reasonable eating course. There's one of the ideas that I have, which is to do with really helping people with their specific dietary, their ability to establish and follow through with any specific healing diet that they have. So that would be to do with a conscious change of diet for a reason of more health. And I'm doing my own number on that front now. I've been about 5 months into my particular one, and it's been really helping me. Fantastic. And I just thought, well, look, I don't need to be specific. Like, for me, it's not about everybody needs to go gluten-free or everybody needs to be vegetarian or everybody needs to eat more meat. Everybody is individualized where they are. That's why there's so many solutions, and that's why we have different life cycle points, and depending on your dis-ease, you've got a different need. So I thought, well, if I take it from people bring their diet to the group, and the beauty is that we see that there's the variation. We're not being dogmatic, we're not being food Nazis about, well, everybody should be eating like this. It's like we get to see in the group, look, I actually need meat, and you actually need less meat. And that, to me, makes sense. It's just dependent on the whole force that we all come through, and there's a beautiful level of tolerance that's important in there, because I know as much as anybody, it's easy to be a food Nazi, it's easy. There is there's or whatever it is, you can your thing, you can hang it on other people, and I don't wish it to be like that, because it's not helpful. It's not helpful for me either.
I think one of the interesting things is, even though I've got the 4 dogmas of reasonability, it's kind of the opposite of dogmatic, because included in dogma number 3 is discernment, and that's your ability to use your own intuition to work out what is right for you, and that's a perfect fit with the concept of the diet, the individualization of the diet, which is why, of course, reasonable eating stayed away from recommending any particular food. It does say that, in general, it says in general processed food is a bad idea, relatively in general, which just about everyone agrees with, if it grows into its shape, it's broadly better. But there's so many people that will, sit you down and tell you and buttonhole you and say, no, this is so good, this is awesome, this is absolute best thing, and you shouldn't do anything else, and you should do this, and it's some sort of chocolate-related flour from South America, that's whatever, some sort of crazy stuff, all probably really brilliantly valuable to that individual and to many other individuals. But I think you nailed it there with this concept of, look, if something's worked for you, that just means that it's worked for you. It also means that it might well work for other people that are similar to you. But there's no rules. It's not mathematics. And the human body is incredibly, it's got an incredible safety factor, so we can survive on lots of different quality foods, but because there's 7 billion of us, there's a good chance that the actual perfect sort of combination of food and lifestyle is going to be a little bit different for all of us. So I think that would be really cool. Yeah.
Well,
I like
the
that.
idea would be that I would be like the we, and it could, you know, it could vary into other people too, but we'd have the group, and then we'd have the coaching aspect where people could ramp that up or down. It'd be great to have someone on side that's just saying, checking in, finding out what's needed next, and uncovering the resources that are actually required. And for me, it would be a scientific investigation that each person would be doing.
Yeah.
And because you're coming from the science, I'm coming from the emotion, like understanding the addictive nature of food, the emotional. I mean, I happen to be a chef and a cooking teacher, so I have a sense of menu planning and, you know, of recipe inspiration, that side. However, I know as much as anybody, when people are altering their diet, it's amazing the emotional stickum that comes up. And from that place, script is manifest. Script comes up, and script being the unconscious, the habitual thoughts that we're not even aware of, the habitual emotions, and food seems to be a primary kick-in for this kind of behavior where we just... We're reacting from total unconsciousness, and I'm as you know, vulnerable to it as anybody. And so I'm interested in using this as a mindfulness tool, and but to support people to actually follow through and be able to fall off the log, which they will, and to be able to feel that it's okay to fall off and to get back on, because of course the diet yo-yo, and my interest isn't in weight loss, that might be a side benefit, but the diet yo-yo, it's compounded by the nature of script that's able to say, look, you failed, so you deserve to die in a bucket of ice cream, you know, and you'll never ever come out again alive, you know. And in that you know, there's like this 1,000 deaths that we all give each other, whatever poison we want to give or whatever addiction it is. So I just thought to use your beautiful framework, to use your beautiful mindfulness, and but at the same time to have kind of a science-based. It's not that I need it to be scientific myself, but I was thinking for each person they can have a reference point with their doctor, with their naturopath, and see the sort of progress that they're making. You know, it's like that as well. And I thought you could help me with that.
The science, the kind of like the experimentation of the science, rather than, okay, well, this is what we're trying, this is how we're seeing the results. So rather than the theory of the science, ultimately science isn't about the theory at all. The theory is just a component of science which makes it easier for us to talk about it and to help us predict results. But actually, it's the experiment that is the science and the results that are the science. So that would be very, very valid as a scientific approach.
Yeah, just to do what's helpful, basically.
Yeah. Not
to overemphasize. I mean, and that's where you could guide me, and that's. I mean, I'm interested in doing it with you because you'd have an insight into that aspect that I might not have a handle on. Yeah.
Yeah, and similarly, you've got a lot of experience. I've being a chef or being trained as a chef and having that whole awareness of the body and the health, but also the ability to produce stuff, and that stuff that you were talking about in the WhatsApp groups, the breakfast, you know, phenomenal. All the fermented vegetables and all the stuff that you put together in the broth. Sounds amazing. One of the things that we can do to make it a lot easier for people to take action is to help them, because I've strayed away from actually recipes as such, haven't I? And approaches, because I want it to be general and I want to teach people to use their own discernment. So there's totally room for another course or a series of courses which could almost take through a particular broad approach, which could be the vegan approach or the sort of a balanced meat eater, a natural eater, and then you kind of, or even a raw approach, you know, and you could put those in, and you could not, so you almost have a series of programs. You know,
Yes.
if you feel this is the one for you, try it for a cycle, and we'll help you with the awareness that you need for why this approach is going to work, but also will help you with the practical. You know, the awareness at this level for the mindfulness and the mindset and the awareness of the script, and then right down at this level, the nitty gritty of, okay, and what should I actually buy, and how should I cook, and how can I do it easily so it isn't a ball ache, and it's all, you know, if you take hunger.
Minimal will. Let's do minimal will, because most people just need that. That's why they're eating these crazy foods, because it's minimal will.
Yeah.
But it's not working at that level.
No, you're right. It's like if you take, I was explaining this the other day, Cindy's been obviously in Texas for the last couple of weeks, and she said she feels really sorry for everyone in America because you have to make such an incredible concerted effort to just be a fit sort of person. So there's very, very few people in the middle of the road. There's people that the average person is just like, you know, really quite overweight and eats terribly, and their idea of eating healthy would be to eat whole grain cereals and whole wheat bread. You know, it's not their fault. It's just because it's how it's been put across to them. Then the ones that have got over that willpower issue and they realize that end up being so far over it that they're super elite fit marathon runner type, you know, super like unbelievable people there. And the normal person is going, well, I could never be like that. I'm never going to be like them, you know, super fit and training and CrossFit and all that sort of stuff. So that's obviously, you know, not a
sloth.
Correct. Got it. So you multiply these factors. You multiply hunger by poorly developed willpower times a convenience of food and the abundance of food that's there, and the addictive nature of the foods that are most convenient.
And
what hope have people really got? So okay, so is that the one going to be? That's the back burner one, though, isn't it? You've got one that you think you'd like to do sooner.
It's feeling like it's the back burner, ironically, because what I'm thinking about is I can see a crossover, and for me to sort of do the whole keyword research, that's interesting, but I'm not sure, you know, the way I'm looking at it, and you know, there's more to keyword research than keyword research in a sense. But I'm looking at the overlap between parents, and I'd love to do something where it's like mindful parenting, and where people have these challenging areas around work-life balance and parenting. So they've got this work-life balance, they've got their identities as parents versus their identities as children themselves, and their identities as lovers, and their identities as workers or business people, like you know, if they're self-employed, or their identities as single parents. So there's this kind of, what I'm thinking about is this what I love about your course is there's a self-efficacy about it, right? It's about being your being self, the self that you would choose to be. Okay, so that's the point to me. Okay, that's the breakthrough point. That's why I talk about, you know, these little kind of creepy crawly creatures we're all breaking out, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the edge. That's the transformation. That's the story. You know, that's the backstory of what we're doing here. And the backstory is a planetary version of that, of course, because we want the consciousness around it. That's what we're actually interested in doing together as a group, raising the awareness for the group. But we're doing it individually, and we're spreading it out to all the nodes in the network. And so what I'm interested in is that there's an overlap around parenting, the self. You know, everybody's got a different sense of who they are in that moment and who they would choose to be, and I want them to be able to bridge into that, but also how they see their children, because that's the other half. So I've almost got like a wheel. I've got this 13x4, but I've got like, I've split it into a horizon so that the children are under, it's kind of like the children on what
Okay.
do you call
Nice.
that, on the, you know, the Antipodean side of
Okay.
the
Yeah.
hemisphere,
Yeah.
and the parents are on this, you know, more European side of
Yeah.
the hemisphere there in the circle. And so I wasn't sure whether to start with. I mean, there are important emotions that I think when you're working with being a parent,
Yeah.
and gratitude would be one.
Yeah.
You know, compassion would be another. And faith and love, they're all important, but I would want people to be finding what they find. So in a sense, I'd like to be
Discovery.
guiding them. Let there be a discovery process. And I'm really interested, as you know, in the whole focus on the heart as a doorway.
Mm.
I'm convinced of this, the feeling nature, and how this power of going inside the heart removes me from my intellect, my head.
Mm.
And my head is where I get myself turned into knots, or into judgment, into fear, into anything that feels uncomfortable. When I look at anything that's uncomfortable, there's some kind of what you and I are calling script thought, but an unconscious ego mind, monkey mind, whatever you want to call it, thought process. And then what I find the quickest way is to just literally focus my attention on my heart, and there's a sense of, oh, I know where my heart is, and then I just find that center and I start to choose from there. And I'd like to take the parents into there, because ultimately it's something that they're so connected with their children in a general sense in that place anyway, and it's easy to pass that on to their children as well. It's such an emotional area, and I think it's where the heart can be helpful in the family. It's like it's they could understand it. It might be harder to introduce this to, say, school teachers or business training, but I don't for a minute think that it's out of place there, by the way, of course, but I think that parents might be able to understand this, and for me it's about them connecting with themselves first before they can connect with the children.
So the way I would see it would be like your central focus is like heart-centered, and then that would give you like heart-centered parenting, heart-centered whatever, and so it's a few different things that, I mean,
it's almost like heart mindfulness, Tom.
Okay.
It's like heart mindfulness, or the mindful heart.
Yeah.
There's both of those words can say it, and that's okay.
Heart mindfulness, yeah, that's quite good. Yeah, I like that. The other thing that I had as an idea when you were just talking as well is about the sort of the group effect and the individuals emerging but all contributing back to the group. There's kind of like a mastermindfulness approach, isn't it? Which is kind of taking mastermind and mindfulness. So master mindfulness, that kind of has got a. I'm just thinking in terms of, you know,
heart mindfulness.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking about heart mindfulness is nice way. So you've got it's all about mindfulness, but you've got heart mindfulness, then you've got master mindfulness, which is the group effect. You could then have, I don't know, you've got a bit of a theme going on there, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
What you do need for people is to give them a hooks on which to hang your stuff when they first hear about it. So when we've come up with reasonability and reasonable eating, what they've immediately got is something that sticks in their mind. It seems like it's part of something much bigger, that's much more well thought out, that's got a lot of gravity, and as a result, if you can make it easy, if you choose things and it seems like it's an isolated, it's a one-off, it's the difference, in business terms, it's the difference between making a great film and making a franchise. Now, obviously, Harry Potter, the book series, one of the reasons it did unbelievably well is because every year or so she brought out a new book, and then that whole book franchise, it gave so much more, book series and book franchise have got so much more power. And if you, in business terms, why is that? Is that because they're that much better? Well, in a way they are better because they've got much more thinking in them, So they got much more intention in them if they're a series rather than just a one-off. So if you've got that idea that what you're doing is part of something that you've thought really deeply about and thought more holistically and the bigger picture, then even if you're just starting with the heart mindfulness one, or if heart mindfulness is the thing, and then it's applied to parenting, and it's applied to, say, teaching, it's applied to eating, applied to cooking, you know, that gives a bit more. I'm just thinking the long game, that becomes kind of what you stand for, what you believe in. It becomes the center for the framework for everything.
Yeah, sure. Well, part of my background is in the work of Byron Katie.
That's right.
And so it's a really, it dovetails with the view of the script as it is. Yeah. It's another way. I find that this particular method that Richard Wilkins has been disseminating through you is faster than the work of Byron Katie, but the Byron Katie work is useful in adjunct to this because there are times when you can go deeper through inquiry. If there's perspective in this that's actually really useful. I notice how I seem to have a perspective because of the Byron Katie work. You know?
I know a little bit about it, and I think it's, again, it's like, it's helpful. If it's helpful, use it. And I've been through a few trainings of similar things where you're kind of trying to get to the bottom of why this thing is. You're not trying to change it necessarily, but you're trying to understand it more. And I think that's certainly for the individual who likes to think like yourself, and there's a lot of people out there who like to think, it's good to have a framework for, in a really compassionate, loving way, to just explore. Why not?
So that would be, for me, that I would bring in some aspect of the work into this as well. So and I thought I would start with basically I thought it would be the best thing is to start with the idea of the script first, and awareness and that would be the just notice, choose. And then I didn't know whether to go into then from there the marginal gains, because that's the way the wheel is, in the sense that it's I wouldn't go into them, and I thought, you know, they're creating their own wheel wouldn't come till much later, like maybe 3/4 of the way or more through the course, you know. But the idea would be just to introduce your idea of the marginal gains, one thing at a time, to show that we're just, you know, as parents who are juggling work and all the other things, you know, it's really important to get a handle on, we just do what we can do now, and that's what the mindfulness is about. And within that, it's about putting my attention on, because for me, it's like when I put my attention on someone, I'm showing and I'm demonstrating my care. You know, it's like when you get all of my attention, it's a real gift. You know, and you feel that, and vice versa. And when your child gives you the response, if I'm not giving my attention to my child, he lets me know, right? And as soon as I've given my child really quality attention, he's as quiet as a mouse, and I can get on with whatever it is that I need to do until it seems not until he screams at me, but, you know, until I've focused and got that done, and then, you know, I can put my attention on him in a meaningful way again. And I just notice how just having attention is a form of love, you know, and I think that's also why this self-awareness that we're doing, this mindfulness works, because we're actually giving our attention to, you know, we're bringing self-awareness, attention onto ourselves that is useful, that rather than diverting attention and, you know, spreading and being whatever distracted in a million ways, and not then not then having presence, not being able to be integrated, you know. And it's like if we give it to ourselves, we feel that just as much as giving it to each other. So as a parent, I guess it's that aspect that I'm interested in, you know,
now
bringing through.
parenting, kind of now, you know, in the now parenting is kind of, yeah. I think you're right there totally, and I think that obviously I've got a bunch of kids, and it's always the same. You don't really have to do too much as long as you are sharing and joining in and being with them. It's not like you think, oh, you know, and I've got to entertain them and be a children's entertainer, do that, all that sort of stuff. You know, just sit with them, just be with them, just play with them, and you know, they'll come up with all the stuff that
That's right.
you need to do. Just join rather than lead, I think, is a really good
That's
thing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that aspect, because all the time, I think especially women, but I don't know. It's just my thing. It's the women feeling like we need to be more than a mother. It's like mothering is less than everything else, and you know, it's like turning that on its head in the best way, without it being anything more than you know, being able to be fully themselves, who they are, and what they can offer to themselves and to their husbands or their partners and to their children, because they are already the fullness of who they are. They're no less than, and you know, it's a cultural dialogue that would be really, you know, it's just like it's a cultural script that I would like to break through, you know, and one you know, marginal gains, one thing at a time, you know, and that's where the Byron Katie work can come into, just as we see the beliefs and then the choice, you know, as soon as we see these beliefs, and then we just choose what we would choose if we could.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you a question then. Do you want to go after more of a niche area like a single parent, or do you want to start with a more general one? But you, as a single parent, you're being the example of, look, you don't let the idea that you're on your own be an excuse, kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, obviously, it's really good to have someone focus on the single parent number, because there's really powerful things inside of that. That energy in itself is an energy that would be good to bring awareness to, you know. But I'm really aware that it's like this is a real general thing that all parents can benefit from. It wouldn't matter if you were you know, a single mother or a single father. This is what it's about. So I'm happy to start with this general wheel, and especially because you're a daddy. And you're a married daddy, and so you're in it with me, you know. So we start with where we're at, and we develop it, you know, together in that sense, and then I can reflect on, like you said, you know, the heart mindfulness, where it could go specifically for single parents, and you know, I don't know whether that would be single parents or single mothers. But I like the idea of parents being able to teach their children.
Yeah.
You know, this is easy to teach a child this stuff. Relative
to get it. Harry's got no trouble getting it, has he? Harry gets it, no trouble at all. Like my kids, they get it. Oh yeah, well that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, of course you would think about what you wanted and not what you didn't want. Yeah.
They're the biggest allies, because he's there to remind me, and well, you and I know, any parent knows that they will mirror back how you're treating them to you. Yeah. You know, they will mirror it back. They'll, you know, bite you in the bum. Your own stuff come right back at you. And so it's harnessing that, and with awareness, what would you choose? Well, you would choose to let them be the deliverer of your mindfulness, you know, and they are unconsciously, you know, all the time, and it's painful because I'm not aware that I'm unconscious, you know. It's like then it's painful. But as soon as they're my partner in awareness, oh my God, look at that. You're amazing. You've just given me the awareness that I want, and I've asked you for it, and there you are embodying it for me, and how amazing that is to be, you know, hand in hand with you. You know,
that's
it's
a
so
really good
empowering.
approach. Yeah, that is a really good approach.
It's
Now,
super.
I mean, I think you've really got something. I mean, for a long time, I've had the concept of reasonable parenting, because I think that I've got a lot of useful stuff. But I like the idea of maybe, I like where you're going with this. For me, that sounds like it's a lot less transactional. I was thinking of making it a bit more transactional. I think what you're doing is you're saying, let's not hide the stuff that's really important. Let's be open about the script and the awareness. And when I did reasonable eating, I kind of let all that stuff just sink in gradually, rather than sort of saying. In fact, there are more than 4 dogmas. There is the 5th dogma, but that's like the secret one, and everyone will come to that realization at some point. I'll never explain it to them or what it is, but they all know when they get there. And that's, but it's nice to go up front with it as well and just say, look, this is what it's all about. It's all about noticing. It's all about the awareness. It's all about, well, yeah, you are not what you are choosing. You are what you would choose if you were choosing. And applying that to parenting is, I think parenting, you know, in the heat of the day, in the moment-to-moment transactions with your kids, it's like such a reminder of the script and awareness and notice. It's a brilliant tool to raise your mindfulness, really is.
And how empowering it is in my relationship with Harry. It's amazing, you know. He just says, you know, what would you choose, Mum? Choose again, Mum. Choose again. You know, he's right back at me. And I mean, they're just waiting. They want to do that, you know, because usually what they're wanting to do is catch you at your own stuff, right? But I've given him the gift to catch me at my own stuff. Like, that's what they want to do. They want to get back at the parent, you know, give as good as you give. You know what I mean? If they want to be the one on top, right? And so I've given him the key. I've said, you tell me. You tell me. And he has that now, and he can feel good about it, because I might begrudge it for a minute or two, and then I come back and I say, you know what, you're absolutely right. And it, you know, it's very empowering for him. And then, you know, he models that. And he'll walk down the street and he'll you know, protest it, and he'll carry on, and then he'll go, it's just a script, Mum. It's just a script, Mum. I choose blah blah blah, and he'll reverse the whole thing himself, because he's seen me reverse it.
That's incredible. That is so powerful.
But just the same, he has tantrums because I have tantrums, right? He goes off because I go off. It's just no different, right? It's no different. So it's just the same stuff, but it's working with what we've got, working with who we are, and not me not saying, well, you know, he's got to not have tantrums. I've got to not have tantrums. Yeah. You know, instead of trying to control it and manipulate it and all this stuff, it's about, you know, work with the script. This is what we got, you know. This is and the compassion, you know, compassion that I'm too tired. I'm sorry, I blew it, you know. And but that's not an excuse. That's just noticing. Look what I did. Gosh, what would I choose? I'd choose, well, first up, I choose compassion. Again and again, I have to choose compassion. And I give it to myself, and I feel that. And I as soon as I do that, I defuse any kind of, you really are the crappiest mother on the planet, you know, that whole dialogue that you have. It diffuses it immediately, and I can just be totally present to him again, because instead of going, oh, you know, totally lose it and not be present, I can just go, oh, what would I choose? And I'm already back with myself, and that, therefore, being back with me, I'm back with him, you know?
It is, I mean, parenting and being in a very close, intimate relationship, probably the two best training grounds, alongside sort of eating, I think, is incredible training ground for awareness, for the script. But like, because you just said it, you are tired, you do stuff. We have all these, you know, we've been observing people for 10, 20, 30, 40 years behave in a certain way. We're pretty good at behaving in the way that we've been doing our whole life, because we've got really good at it, and that sort of that cycle, and it takes, you know, maybe sometimes a few days for people to get out of a funk that they go into when they have a relationship and a row and they go moody and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, with children, because you're tired, because you're trying to do work as well, you're trying to balance everything, especially as a single mum, you're trying to do all these things and you don't have as much energy and you don't quite have the awareness to make the right decision at that time. And then, but the good thing is you don't have to spend sort of the next rest of the day beating yourself up about it. That's the escape clause. Yes, you're going to fail. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. Yes, you're going to do that. But you save all that energy from that civil war. Oh, you're a bad mum. No, you're trying your best. You know, you're an awful parent. You know, who are you to teach other people? All goes. Yeah. See, that's the real gift. That's the real gift of what this work is.
And that's the mindfulness. You know, that's the mindfulness, because I have, you know, that's the marginal gains, and it's literally in every breath. That's what we're all doing. We get the choice in every breath, but that's not to do with we have to be vigilant at all. It's not to do with we have to do anything. You know, it's just what would you choose? I would choose it to be easy, and I would choose it to be gradually integrated into my life. I want it to become the dominant paradigm in my life, you know, and I want to share it with my family and live it. You know, I would choose to be the example, and I would choose him to be the, you know, I would choose to be example for him, and vice versa, you know. So it's very cool.
This is very exciting. So next actions then, I think a parenting one, a general parenting one is great. I think that what would be good is if you could send me the, you know, this is the first of many, you know, hangouts that we'll have. So, but you know, let's one thing at a time. You send me where you've got to so far in your kind of structure. I get where you're coming from. Obviously, I get where you're coming from in terms of applying the script to parenting, and it's wonderful training ground, creates no pressure and a chance for you to then get better at your awareness through that, and also spread to your wider circle of influence. I get that. That's brilliant. I think having the kind of WhatsApp experience replicated by the app, the kind of a parenting app, you know, and it's okay parenting app, you know, kind of, or whatever it is, or my heart mindfulness, or now parenting, something like that along those lines. But it's just that it's kind of okay, you know, you can do it kind of thing, it's all right. And just to have that, you know, a little message from you every so often, you know, this, and you know, I think that would be so good for people, you know. Don't worry, forgive yourself.
Atmosphere, Tom, too. You know that in a classroom, we talk about that classroom atmosphere. It's the parent. What it is to me, it cuts through. It's like, I'm the parent here. Who's the parent in the relationship? I'm the parent. I'm the one that sets the tone. You know, I set the tone of the relationship. I set the tone of you know, the day or the context. Okay, and it's up to me. You know, I'm the one that's setting it, but I don't have to be in the same sense. On the one hand, I'm responsible. On the other hand, I'm not to blame. So it's like being able to be responsible for the tone, but without the blame, Tom.
Yeah.
Because I want people to understand that we are innocent. It's our script that's choosing. We are innocent, you know. So it's all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's going to be massive, because, like, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are parents, and a lot of people who feel that they're not quite as good as they would like to be, or as they could be. A lot of people who feel that, you know, maybe they're not as good as other people. Oh, I wish I could be more like that soccer mum, or this, you know, benevolent, kind dad, or whatever. I wish I was with my children for more time, and I wish I didn't feel so tired, and I wish I wasn't getting so ratty with the kids all the time. Well, you know, you can help people with that, with this program. You really can. So yeah, it sounds exciting. Is there some, I think that would be good. Next action would be send it to me. I'll come back to you. We'll set up another one of these in a couple of days, and just say, In terms of your general life and business and fitting and everything, what sort of time frame are you working on?
Well, I'm just
Fairly
thinking
ready.
if well, like probably in about, I don't know, could be 3 or 4 weeks. What do you think? How long do you think it'll take us to get it up? I don't really know. I'm just thinking I'll be busy watching the guys, you know, because I've got, I don't know, there's about 5 of you ahead of me now.
Yeah.
And that will preoccupy me a bit because I'm watching you. So I figure it'll take me about 3 weeks to watch, get a feel for other people and watch.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think maybe 5 weeks sounds realistic to me, Tom.
Yeah.
And that just feels realistic, that I'll probably jump in about 5 weeks because you know, it's all that, I need the rumination, you know, I need that mull time as well.
And you need to listen to your intuition, and if your intuition is saying 5 weeks, that's fine. It doesn't matter whether it's 1 week or 50 weeks. There's no rush to this. No one's going to come out there and, oh damn it, what if someone else comes out with an amazing way to help people be better parents? You know, great. You know, it doesn't matter. There's no, on the competitive plane it would be a pain, but on the creative plane we know that there's always going to be plenty of opportunity for anything that is valuable. So no rush at all. As long as it is your intuition, not your script, because sometimes your script can prevent you from taking action. So as long as you're trusting your intuition and saying, you know, what would I choose? Would I choose that I could do it faster? Actually, no. I would choose, given what I know about myself, I would choose to percolate a bit more, to let the thoughts ruminate, to observe a little bit more, and come when I'm ready. So sort of beginning of, well, what are we now? We're about the 4th. This is the 4th of August.
September. It's basically September.
It's September, yeah. That sounds fantastic. So that'll be about week 10 of the cycle, wouldn't it? Because we're just starting week 5 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I just want to develop the structure basically, and the other part is the keyword research around what people really want. But I think they'll just bring it to the table. In my mind, it's your marginal gains, one thing at a time. The script, the awareness, you know, it's those underlying things. But people will bring to the table. But I want people to have the ability to actually choose from their heart to really keep as a daily practice, to sit and go deeper when they can, you know, have that as an extra contact point, really. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's really good. It's brilliant, and the point is, you know, it's brilliant because you're using it and it's working and it's how you're doing it. You are being the example and you're doing it, and you're saying, oh, this is really helpful. I wonder if I can, you know, show people what I'm doing, and if I find it really helpful, I'm like other people. I bet there's other people out there who think that they aren't perhaps as good as parents as they could be or would like to be, and they don't really know how to separate that voice of doubt out from themselves. And I think you could help, you know, literally, well, millions of people really, but let's one thing at a time. If you can just think about it a bit more, send me some ideas whenever you think they're not ready, because they'll never be ready, but send me some ideas as soon as you can to kind of like put what your sort of structure is, sometime in the next couple of days where you're quite fresh, and then we'll plan for a launch in about 5 weeks. And in the meantime, I'll do a bit of research. I'll do some keyword research because I'm fascinated by parenting. And also, I think I'm quite a good example. I'm like everyone else. I fail. I make mistakes. I don't spend as much time with my kids as they would like me to spend. I spend much more time with my kids than most other parents. But the point is, they always want more. And so you still think, well, right now I'm on a call. My kids are upstairs playing. They said, Dad, can you come and play with me? I said, I've got to go. I've got to go and do a call at the moment. But you know, so there's always a bit of guilt for any time you spend away from people that really love you and want to be with you. But I think you've got. I'm fascinated by the idea of making parenting, like making teaching. Why I did teaching, I kind of cracked the code to make teaching manageable for everybody, and it's all really to do with the internal awareness. Parenting, I think. With your experience, single mum, and you know, having all that journey of awareness and everything, and then my background as well. I think that could be really quite good. I think people would love that. And then it was just that one course would then set you up for, you know, a heart mindfulness approach to whatever you wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
Why not?
All right, Tom. Well, thank you. I'll let you go. Get back to your creatures, and I'll go to bed. And thank you so much. Yeah, I hope it's worked having the phone. You know what I mean? It's odd how holding the phone, so I hope that's worked. All right, well, I'll just say good night. And yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Well, and thank you,
Good
because it's only as a result of people doing stuff, taking action, that we get any kind of movement or growth. I think a lot of what I've noticed is that, if you noticed that over the last week or so, there hasn't been as much activity on the WhatsApp groups, and I think that's great, because it probably means, well, there's two things. It either means people aren't doing anything, or people are doing more and they're taking more action. And it's kind of, I'm choosing to say, well, it's obviously because Mark's really busy, Ruth's doing this, you know, I'm doing that, Sam's doing stuff. And I think that there's always a tendency, once you find that you've got something and you found people that think the same way as you, there's kind of always a tendency to have that, to stay in that safety now that you've found. And what we really need to do is we need to take the action, all of us individually, so we all expand our combined sphere of influence. And
yeah, I find that whole idea of taking action before you're ready and just taking action, it's so helpful.
Yeah. Well, exactly, helpful. All right.
Okay.
Lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
If you can, you'll probably be super excited. You're not going to be able to sleep now, but you know, just whatever, do some meditation and then have a great sleep, and we'll talk in the next couple of days. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye.